Welcome back to night number 4 of Village VBS. We're so glad you came back to join us. I hope you learned a lot about patience yesterday and got to meet our friends the pigs. Orville and Wilbur were sure cute, weren't they? And the snacks and crafts, how fun. Well, I can't wait what Miss Kim is going to tell us what we're going to learn about tonight.
Tonight's featured word is hopeful. Have you ever wanted something and you hoped that you would get it? Well, that's what we're going to be learning about tonight. Farmer Ron has another neat story about being hopeful on the farm. And through the life of Joseph, he was hopeful too. And what do you think our animal is tonight on the farm? We are going to learn about the sheep and the goats. There's some fun things coming up, and I think Mrs. Burke even has a fun craft for us too. Join with us down on Faith on the Farm. I've got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart. Where? Down in my heart. Where? Down in my heart. I've got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart. Where? Down in my heart to stay. And I'm so happy, so very happy. I have the love of Jesus in my heart.
Jesus may come at noon. Jesus may come in the evening. So keep your heart in tune. Dear Jesus, thank you for bringing everyone back for another fun night of VBS. Thank you that you give us hope so that we can get through each day until you come again to take us to heaven. Please bless each child and their family watching our VBS program online. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Our memory verse for tonight is taken from Psalm 71:14. Just like we've been doing, watch and listen first, and then I'll teach you the signs. So it goes, as for me, I will always have hope. I will praise you more and more. Okay, you ready? So we just say, as for me, you point to yourself, I will always. This is a sign for always. You put up your finger and you make a little circle twice. I will always have hope. Hope, you put one hand here, one hand lower, and then you just move them up and down. I will always have hope. And praise you, just take your finger, you move it out of your mouth like you're singing, and you clap, just like we praise Jesus by singing and clapping. I will praise you more. So this is a sign for more. You just bring your fingertips together, more and more. Okay, let's try it together. As for me, I will always have hope. I will praise you more and more.
Hey kids, it's Farmer Ron, and we're back on the farm. And tonight, we're going to think about being, hopeful. What do you think it means to be hopeful? Well, I think of it kind of like being, optimistic or positive, believing something's going to turn out the right way, or maybe thinking something good's about to happen, like tonight at VBS. What are some of the things you're hopeful for? I'm hopeful that my fence is strong enough to keep the sheep where they're supposed to stay, and of course the coyotes out. I'm hopeful that Mrs. Kelly's going to make a big chocolate cake for my birthday. Oh, she makes good ones. I'm also hopeful when my seeds are planted that the rain will come and that they'll grow into big healthy crops and that we can harvest them in the fall to make enough money to feed people and of course to make some money to live on. In my Bible, I love to read the stories of all of the harvest and the characters in the Bible where God provided for them. All the resources that took them through winter. And, in the Bible, there's also teaching about a sabbatical year when they didn't even plant crops, but God gave them enough to go without planting crops for a year. Well, tonight, God's going to teach us through the life of Joseph, which has been an incredible adventure. We've seen it already, and he never lost his hope. He had patience to trust in him. He had faith to obey him. And I'm pretty sure I'm remembering reading that God made a promise to take care of him. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. We need to head over and see what Mrs. Canada and Mrs. Wolf are making for our fun snack today. See you there.
Good morning. How are you doing? I'm having a great day at Vacation Bible School. Wow, it's almost over. We only have a couple more animals to make. We're so glad that you joined us for Faith in the Kitchen. This morning, we have an adorable animal. When you always think of them as so soft and loving, what would that be, Miss Canada?
Oh, I think it might be a soft, woolly lamb.
Yes.
And today we have Hopeful, the sheep. When we know what God can do for us, that God is faithful to never forget us, it makes me very hopeful.
That's great.
Yeah, no matter if there's scary things going on around us, if we know that God is going to take care of us, it gives me hope.
Even adults need that hope in their lives, just like you children do.
That's right.
So today, when we make our sheep or our lamb, we want to show you, we did a little preparation for this one in advance. You see in our jar here, we made popcorn. This is just plain old microwave popcorn. We did it in advance, and you probably do too, because I think you might want it to cool a little bit before you put it in a plastic bag. And really, that's the only food that we're using.
This is so easy, you guys. Everybody can do this. You just need a popcorn in some kind of plastic bag. We've got like these are what, favor bags.
Yep. And they have to have a tie because you have to tie it at the top. So we have a tie. And then you're going to get a little lamb space. And this is what's going to go onto our bag. And we're going to use just little glue dots, or you could use a glue stick, whatever you have to attach it to your bag.
Okay, so you can have just this, you can use the little sheep head printable that we print out, or you can make your own sheep head out of just, construction paper.
Or you could
like
even
that.
draw it on there with a Sharpie or something
marker,
that would
sure.
stay on and wouldn't smear.
All right, well, I'm going to fill up my bag with popcorn. And Mom, do you have anything you want to tell us?
I have some more
about the sheep.
Animal facts about the sheep.
Oh, okay. I don't know very much about sheep.
The sad thing, there's only half as many sheep in the world as there are pigs. Remember we said yesterday?
Yeah, there are so many pigs.
2 billion. There's only about 1 million sheep around the world. Now, I think you probably all know that a different, like a mama sheep is called
ewe.
A ewe.
Is that right?
And
Oh, okay. I
that's
do know
right.
something about sheep then, I guess.
And what do we call baby sheep? We've said it.
A lamb.
Lamb, that's right. And when you get a whole bunch of sheep together, there's some different names for that too. Sometimes it's a herd, a flock.
Okay, I was about to say, I was going to guess flock, but I didn't know if it could be both.
I know, but there's a third one, which you would never think of for sheep. It's a mob.
A mob.
When we think of a mob, it's not the most pleasant.
No, I would not want a
unruly
mob
and-
of sheep to come after me.
No. And one thing about sheep, they say they like to stay together too, because and they like being close to each other, and that makes it easy for you to move the sheep from place to
I
place.
like to spend time with my friends. That's
It's
why it's
right.
hard this year at Vacation Bible
I know
School.
it.
Usually you look out and you see all your friends there.
To be together.
Well, it's like a sheep, right?
I don't
All right,
know
I
yet,
just
but-
filled
yours
my
is full.
bag up and I tied it up. If you're using a Ziploc baggie, you can just seal up the top. And we're gonna use, I love glue dots. Do you ever use glue dots at home? They make it so easy. You take your little face, whatever kind of a face you've made for your sheep, and then you're just gonna press it onto your glue dot and peel it off of the paper.
I think this is the easiest snack we've ever made.
I think I can handle this. That's right. You can even tuck that behind too. I can maybe tuck it behind.
With another glue dot would glue her down.
Yeah. And I just stuck his head right on there.
Oh, that is cute.
That's so cute. Hopeful the sheep. I love it. You can do this at home. Be as creative as you want.
This only thing is one decoration that you're not going to want to eat.
No. Oh,
Right.
don't eat the
Don't eat
paper.
the paper. Because everything else, even the eyeballs, we ate. But on this one,
That's
you're
true.
not going to eat
Only
the
eat the
paper.
popcorn in the bag.
Oh, he's so cute.
Aw.
We have a lot of leftover popcorn. You could even make a couple of these for a friend.
That's true. You can
Put
take
them-
them to your neighbors and tell them that they could have hope. That this is hopeful the sheep.
And I bet you have a memory verse you learned today that you could put on a little piece of paper and glue that on
Very
there
nice
too.
idea.
So
You
it's
could
a
even,
sharing sheet.
yeah, and you could invite someone for your last day of Vacation Bible School. It could be your invite for tomorrow. Tell them we're going to
Exactly.
make something really delicious tomorrow.
Yes. Well, thank you for joining us again today in the kitchen. We'll see you in the morning tomorrow. Bye. Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm having a great day at Vacation Bible School.
Wow, it's almost over. We only have a couple more animals to make. We're so glad that you joined us for Faith in the Kitchen. This morning, we have an adorable animal. When you always think of them as so soft and loving, what would that be, Miss Canada?
Oh, I think it might be a soft, woolly lamb.
Yes.
And today we have Hopeful, the sheep. You know, when we know what God can do for us, that God is faithful to never forget us, it makes me very hopeful.
That's great.
Yeah, no matter if there's scary things going on around us, if we know that God is going to take care of us, it gives me hope.
Even adults need that hope in their lives, just like you children do.
That's right.
So today, when we make our sheep or our lamb, we want to show you, we did a little preparation for this one in advance. You see in our jar here, we made popcorn. And this is just plain old microwave popcorn. We did it in advance, and you probably do too, because I think you might want it to cool a little bit before you put it in a plastic bag. And really, that's the only food that we're using.
This is so easy, you guys. Everybody can do this. You just need a popcorn in some kind of plastic bag. We've got like these are like favor bags.
Yeah. And they have to have a tie because you have to tie it at the top. So we wear a tie. And then you're going to get a little lamb's face. And this is what's going to go onto our bag. And we're going to use just little glue dots. Or you could use a glue stick, whatever you have to attach it to your bag.
Okay, so you can have just this, you can use the little sheep head printable that we print out, or you can make your own sheep head out of just, construction paper.
Or you could
like
even
that.
draw it on there with a Sharpie or something
marker,
that would
sure.
stay on and wouldn't smear.
All right, well, I'm going to fill up my
Start
bag
filling.
with popcorn. And Mom, do you have anything you want to tell us
I have some more
about the sheep?
animal facts about the sheep.
Oh, okay. I don't know very much about sheep.
The sad thing, there's only half as many sheep in the world as there are pigs. Remember we said yesterday?
Yeah, there are so many pigs.
2 billion. There's only about 1 million sheep around the world. Now, I think you probably all know that a different, like a mama sheep is called
You?
a ewe.
All right.
And
Oh, okay. I
that's
do know
right.
something about sheep then, I guess.
And what do we call baby sheep? We've said it.
A lamb.
Lamb, that's right. And when you get a whole bunch of sheep together, there's some different names for that too. Sometimes it's a herd, a flock.
Okay, I was going to guess flock, but I didn't know if it could be both.
I know, but there's a third one, which you would never think of for sheep. It's a mob.
A mob.
When we think of a mob, it's not the most pleasant.
No, I would
It's
not want a
unruly
mob
and-
of sheep to come after me.
No. And one thing about sheep, they say they like to stay together too, because and they like being close to each other, and that makes it easy for you to move the sheep from place to
I
place.
like to spend time with my friends.
That's
That's why it's
right.
hard this year at Vacation Bible
I know
School.
it.
Usually you look out and you see all your friends there.
To be together.
Well, it's like a sheep, right?
All
Right. I just filled my bag up and I tied it up. If you're using a Ziploc bag, you can just seal up the top. And we're going to use, I love glue dots. Do you ever use glue dots at home? They make it so easy. You take your little face, whatever kind of a face you've made for your sheep, and then you're just going to press it onto your glue dot and peel it off of the paper.
I think this is the easiest snack we've ever
I
made.
mean, I think I can handle this. That's right. I can even tuck that behind too. I can maybe tuck it behind.
With another glue dot would glue her down.
Yeah. And I just stuck his head right on there.
Oh, that is cute.
That's so cute. Hopeful the sheep. I love it. You can do this at home. Be as creative as you want.
This only thing is one decoration that you're not going to want to eat.
No. Oh,
Right.
don't eat the
Don't eat
paper.
the paper. Because everything else, even the eyeballs, we ate. But on this one,
That's
you're
true.
not going to
Only
eat the
eat the
paper.
popcorn in the bag.
Oh, he's so cute.
Aw.
We have a lot of leftover popcorn. You could even make a couple of these for a friend.
That's true. You can
Put
take
them-
them to your neighbors and tell them that they could have hope. That this is hopeful the sheep.
And I bet you have a memory verse you learned today that you could put on a little piece of paper and glue that on
Very
there
nice
too.
idea.
So
You
it's
could
a
even,
sharing sheet.
yeah, and you could invite someone for your last day of Vacation Bible School. It could be your invite for tomorrow. Tell them we're going to
Exactly.
make something really delicious tomorrow.
Yes. Well, thank you for joining us again today in the kitchen. We'll see you in the morning tomorrow. Bye.
Those treats would have been a great addition to any farm party I was throwing. I'm so glad we got friends in Belleville who can share their God-given talents in the kitchen with us. Now, what animal is mentioned a lot in the Bible? If you guess sheep, you're right. And do you know who's the greatest shepherd of all? I know some of you guessed it without even having to think about it very much. Of course, it's Jesus. Let's head out to the barn and take a look at some of his sheep.
Well, today we're going to learn about goats and sheep. I can hear them in the background. I can't wait to hear what Miss Kathy has to tell us about the goats and the sheep. Kathy's going to tell us about the goats and then the sheep. But first, we're going to talk about the goats. Can you tell me a little bit about the goats here?
Sure. Well, we have 3 different breeds of goats that the students get to learn on. This breed here is actually a rare breed called the Golden Guernsey breed of goat. They don't get real big, which is a nice for the students to learn on a smaller goat. This goat here is called a Tennessee fainting goat, and they have those funny muscles that lock up when they get scared, so they fall down. She's calling to her baby. She had 3 babies, so she was a very busy mom. This is Harriet. She's a Nubian goat, and that's her baby over there. So 3 breeds. This is the biggest breed, so students get to learn on different kinds of goats. You know, they have different personalities and different characteristics.
What is the purpose of the goat on the farm?
Well, these are all dairy goats, so they give milk. There are goats that are raised for meat, but these are all dairy goats, and we treat them like pets. They're very friendly.
And is there a different name for the boys or the girls or the babies?
That's right. The female goats are called does. Some people call them nannies, but the proper word is does.
Does. Okay.
And the male goat's called a buck. Some people call them billies,
Okay.
but the proper name is buck.
A buck.
Buck goat and doe goat.
Oh, okay.
And the babies are called kids.
Oh, nice, nice. So can you show us how to milk one?
Well, here, see what the goats eat. Out on pasture, they eat grass all day, and then they also eat hay in the wintertime. But they also eat some pellets. So we have some pellets here that are made out of corn and soybeans. There's a special protein pellet in there, and there's also some special feed that has molasses with it to make it sweet. And these goats are making a lot of milk, and so we want to be sure they eat lots of food. This goat's name is Fairy. She's a kind of a special goat because she was born with like 8 horns. The other baby goats, we have to take them to the vet to have their horns removed, but she was born without horns, which is kind of cool. So what I'm going to do now is show you how we milk her. She's on a milking stand here. She's got some grain to eat while we're milking her. Here's my little jar that I use. So, I think I'll do this side. You grass fed the teat, and you just squeeze the milk into the jar. It takes a little bit of practice, but it's not very hard to do. And these little goats all say, oh, I want a little snack, but that's not your mouth, so you don't get a snack. No, you're not going to get a snack. I'm sorry.
So what do you do with the goat milk after you milk the goats?
It goes to the baby goats. We're bottle feeding the little girl goats so that they stay friendly. And then a woman who has a calf in the community, we give the milk to her to feed her calf.
Oh, great. All right, today Miss Kathy's going to tell us about the sheep. So tell us a little bit about your sheep here.
Well, the type of sheep that we have are called Shetland sheep, and you can see them here. They came from the Shetland Islands, the same place Shetland ponies came from.
Okay.
So they're smaller sheep, which is good for the students to work with too, to learn on a little bit smaller animal. You see they come in lots of different colors, brown, black, sort of a silver, gray, creamy, white. And they also come, you see some of the lambs have horns, and their mamas don't. So in this breed, the males have horns and the females don't.
And what is the purpose of a sheep on a farm?
Well, these particular sheep are known for their wool. People who like to spin wool and make yarn and knit things, they love their wool. So this is a really good wool sheep.
And what do they like to
They like to go out on pasture and eat grass. We also feed them grain like what I showed for the goats. And they eat hay in the wintertime.
And then tell me a little bit about their behavior, because I know in the Bible it always talks about Jesus as our shepherd. And we're his sheep. Can you tell us a little bit about why Jesus uses that analogy in the Bible?
Yes, I raised sheep for 29 years. And I took a little break and now I have these sheep. And I have to totally say the Bible is spot on with comparing people with sheep. People do so many things that are not good for them, just like sheep do. But what's really interesting is when it talks about the sheep know my voice, the sheep know the shepherd's voice. Sheep are very keen with their hearing.
Okay.
And so they'll see you walking towards them, they'll kind of watch you, and they hear your voice and, oh, I know this person, it's safe for me to follow them. So that's why I call to the sheep, I always talk to them, so they become familiar with me and aren't afraid.
Okay, so it's just like when Jesus calls us, we need to know his voice.
Exactly, exactly.
Awesome, thank you. Well, thank you, Miss Kathy, to teach us all about the sheep and the goat. It's been so fun to be on the farm and learn about all the animals that Jesus made. I can't wait to see what's for tomorrow.
After seeing that video, I have a challenge for you. Can you write out one or two of your favorite Bible verses that have the word sheep in it? I know I sing a song that says, "His sheep am I." And I know there's a psalm in the Bible, but I don't want to give you too many clues. Send them in to me, and let's see how many we can find together. Now, I mean it. Send them in to me. We're not together like we usually would be, so we need to hear from you. Now, it's about time for our favorite part of the evening, a great story about who? Joseph.
Welcome back, boys and girls, to the Barnyard Bible Boost. I'm Farmer Jay, and today we're going to talk a little bit about hope. See, when I'm on the farm here, I got these wonderful fruit crops right here, and I have to have hope that they're going to survive the season so we can have a bountiful little bit of a harvest there, and we all like our fruit. Well, just like Joseph, he had to have hope. So why don't you sit down again, grab yourselves a hay bale, put down your tools, and let's sit down and do a little Barnyard Bible Boost, talking about Joseph and the hope he had to have.
Just sit down and take a break. It's time for the Backyard Bible Boost.
Well, boys and girls, welcome back. We are now in chapter 41. I can't wait to get back into the Bible in the book of Genesis and learn more about Joseph. Well, 2 years had passed, and man, that's a long time. That's like going from kindergarten to 2nd grade. Well, Pharaoh had a dream. This dream was about him standing by the Nile, and all of a sudden, out of the river came up 7 cows, sleek and fat, and they grazed among the reeds. After them, 7 other cows, they were ugly and gaunt, came up out of the Nile and stood beside those on the riverbank. And the cows that were ugly and gaunt ate up the 7 sleek fat cows. And then all of a sudden Pharaoh woke up. Well, time had passed and he fell asleep again and had a second dream. 7 heads of grain, they were healthy and good, were growing on a single stalk. After them, 7 other heads of grain sprouted. They were thin and scorched by the wind. The thin heads of grain swallowed up the 7 healthy, full heads. And then Pharaoh woke up again. It was just a dream. In the morning, his mind was so troubled, so he called for all the magicians and the men that were wise from Egypt. Pharaoh told them his dreams, but nobody could interpret them. So then the chief cupbearer, remember we talked about him yesterday, said to Pharaoh, I'm reminded of my shortcomings. When I was in prison with the chief baker, we both had a dream the same night, and each dream had a meaning of its own. There's a young Hebrew that was with us, a servant of the captain of the guard. We told him our dreams, and he interpreted them for us, giving each one of us the interpretation. And things turned out exactly like he said. I was restored to my position, and the other man, the baker, was killed. So Pharaoh sent for Joseph, and he quickly brought him out of the dungeon. They made Joseph shave and change his clothes because they were not very clean. And he went to Pharaoh. Pharaoh said to Joseph, I had a dream, and no one can interpret it. It is said that you can. I cannot do it, Joseph replied to Pharaoh. But God will give Pharaoh the answer he desires. So Joseph was giving God the credit, not himself. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, in my dream, I was standing on the bank of the Nile, and when out of the river they came 7 cows, fat and sleek, and they grazed among the reeds. After them, the 7 other cows came up, scrawny and ugly and lean, and I've never seen such ugly cows before. The lean and ugly cows ate up the 7 fat cows that came up first. But even after they ate them, nobody could tell that they had done so. They looked just as ugly as before. And then I woke up. In my dream, I also saw 7 heads of grain, full and good, growing in a single stalk. After them, 7 other heads sprouted, withered and thin and scorched by the east wind. The thin heads of grain swallowed up the 7 good heads, and I told this to the magicians, but none of them could explain it to me. Then Joseph said to Pharaoh, the dreams of Pharaoh are one and the same. God has revealed that he is about to do something. The 7 good cows are 7 years, and 7 good heads of grain are 7 years. It is one and the same dream. God revealed to Joseph what to tell Pharaoh. 7 years, they would get lots and lots of food. But then after that, there would be 7 years of nothing. That would be horrible. What would you do with 7 years of famine? So now Pharaoh had to look for somebody who was wise and put him in charge of the land of Egypt. Pharaoh needed to appoint somebody and take 1/5 of the harvest of Egypt during the 7 years of abundance. They should collect all the food of these good years that are coming and store them up in the grain under the authority of Pharaoh. So Pharaoh said to Joseph, I hereby put you in charge of the whole land of Egypt. Wow, that is a big position. Then Pharaoh took his ring from his finger and put it on Joseph's finger. So when Joseph was 30 years old, he entered the service of Pharaoh the king. And he traveled around just like he was supposed to and collected all the food produced in those 7 years of abundance and stored it in the cities. And they had so much that he stopped keeping records of it because it was beyond measuring. Before the years of famine came, 2 sons were born to Joseph. Oh, how exciting! He named his firstborn Manasseh because The name meant, God has made me forget all my trouble and all my father's household. The second son he named Ephraim and said, It is because God has made me fruitful in the land of suffering. The 7 years of abundance in Egypt came to an end, and the 7 years of famine began. Just as Joseph had said, there was famine in all the other lands, but in the whole land of Egypt there was food. Why? Because Joseph had set aside the extra food during the land of plenty. When the famine had spread over the whole country, Joseph opened up all the storehouses and sold grain to the Egyptians, for the famine was severe throughout Egypt, just like God had said it would be, and all the world came to Egypt to buy grain from Joseph, because the famine was so bad. Joseph definitely learned how to be hopeful because he knew God took care of him. Joseph was faithful to God, he was patient to listen to him, and he is hopeful because God will take care of him. We have one more night and one great story. I hope you come back and listen to the final conclusion of the life of Joseph and his faithfulness.
Joseph could see how God was going to use him in spite of all the trouble that had come his way. He was faithful in the prison. He was faithful at Potiphar's house. The dreams he was able to interpret were pretty amazing. He was hopeful in his big God. And you know, you serve a big God too. He knew God would take care of him, and we want you to know God will take care of you. Now it's about time for Mrs. Burke's fun crafts to help us remember all about being hopeful, our theme for the night. Let's head on over and see what she's got.
Welcome back to Crafts. Tonight you learned about sheep and having hope. So tonight for the craft, you're going to make a sheep. In your packet or online, print off this pattern of your sheep. And the only thing you need to color is the face and the legs on the sheep. You can color it whatever color you want. Then you cut it out. After you cut it out, in your packet, or if you're at home, you're going to need some cotton balls. And what you're going to do is you're just going to pull these cotton balls apart like this a little bit. Just like that. Put glue all over the body of your sheep and right up here at the top of the head. And once you get this pulled apart, just stick the cotton all over the glue of the body on the body of your sheep. When you get it all on there, that's what it'll look like.
We didn't have any cotton balls at home, so we cut up some tissue paper that we had from a Kleenex box and just cut it into little squares. That way we could ball it up into little balls, and we stuck it on there just like we would the cotton balls that Mrs. Burke instructed us to use, and it looked 3D. It was really fun, and I'm glad we were able to use other resources besides cotton balls. So if you have something else at your house that might work, you can use it too. You might even have colored tissue paper, or maybe somebody gave you a gift bag and it had some leftover stuffing in there, or even shreds of paper might work. You get creative and send us your pictures. Let us know how it turns out.
Again, you'll have a sticker to put on the back of the theme for the night, and And also, again, you can put magnets on the back or make it pop it by putting a popsicle stick.
We had an idea to write the word Schmiley, S-H-M-I-L-Y. That stands for See How Much I Love You. And then we put a magnet on the back because every place that we put this, like on the refrigerator, anybody who sees it knows how much we love them.
All right, guys, have fun making your sheep, and I will see you tomorrow night.
Send us those pictures of the crafts that you made because we want to add it into our slideshow.
You know, it would be a terrible thing to not have hope. Kids, no matter what you do, no matter how bad it gets, you can call out to Jesus, the great shepherd, and he's listening, and he's right there with you. You don't ever need to lose hope because God cares for you. And when you whisper a prayer, or when you sing a praise, or when you call out, he's more faithful even than your own mom or dad. He forgives your sins. He has a plan for your life. You can get to be the most hopeful people in the world, and some people don't know him. That's why it's so important that we get close to him so that we can spread sunshine and hope to so many people who have never known there's a personal, loving God. He's my God down on the farm, and I know he wants to be your God too. So tonight, let's let him come into our hearts. And whether it's Farmer Ron or whether it's you watching while we're down on the farm, let's take hope into every day.
Well, boys and girls, we just finished another great night at Vacation Bible School where we learned all about hope in the Bible. Well, at Village School, they also teach lessons in their studies about the Bible because they are so excited to teach you about Jesus. Jesus promises that he's coming soon, and we are so hopeful that you are going to be there too. So if you want to learn more about the Village School and the Bible lessons that they teach, come visit us on the website at vaes.org.